Hey everybody, Joe here. I'm back again with another edition of the Top 5. This time around on the Top 5, I'm going to be looking at 5 games, my top 5 games for the Nintendo Game Boy. Game Boy, as you know, has been around since 1989. There's roughly around 900 games, give or take, compatible with it. There's about, let's say, roughly 450 or so of the original Gray carts. And then there was some Game Boy Color compatible ones which were in black carts that work on both the original Game Boy and the Color. And with that, let's start the list. Tetris. Tetris is kind of like the mandatory Game Boy game to have. It's the ultimate old school puzzle game. That's probably the best way to say it. Anybody can pick it up and play it. That's pretty much what sold the Game Boy when it first came out on the streets. And despite being so simple, it's still kind of tricky to master. I mean, the first time any of us approached level 9 height 5, yeah, it didn't always go so well. Probably the one everybody's played, everybody should have, hopefully all do, Tetris. Final Fantasy Adventure. Final Fantasy Adventure is not really a Final Fantasy game. It's actually the first game in the Mana series. You just saw a couple days ago me replace the battery in my copy. It's kind of like an action RPG for beginners when you think about it. It's got a very simple gameplay, but it's got a really good story. It's quite compelling to play through. It's easy to get invested into the game. And it's got incredible music. I mean, the main theme that plays during the overworld is just, very adventurous. Kind of not quite like the Legend of Zelda theme, overworld theme, but it's got that similar kind of feel. It emotes the same thing. And also, it's one of the very first games that I did beat back in the day when I had a Game Boy first time around. So it's got some nostalgic value to me. Great game. If you haven't played it, I recommend it. And even if you're not too big on RPGs, I highly recommend it because it is such a simple game to play. But it does offer hours and hours of enjoyment, and I do highly recommend you check it out. Metroid 2: Return of Samus. Another favorite of mine. It's one of the other early games that I've beaten back in the day, first time around having it. This is actually the player's choice copy. It's got amazing graphics. It really fits like the Metroid theme. It's got this very dark, intense, kind of creepy kind of atmosphere to it, which fits perfectly with Metroid. It's not like some watered down Metroid for the portable. A lot of the early Game Boy titles were, but this came out, I want to say, around 91 or so, and at this point in time, Nintendo really knew what they were doing with the Game Boy and released a ton of excellent titles. And this one is definitely one of them. Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins. You might remember me mentioning this one in my Mario Top 5. Again, a great game to play. It's another one, very pick up and play, but offers hours and hours of enjoyment because it's got a huge world for a little Game Boy game. It introduced Wario. I'm sure you already know that. In my opinion, it has some of the absolute best graphics you will find on any original Game Boy game. And it's very unique in its own way, and again, one of those games, can't recommend enough. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. You can see this very well-loved cartridge that's faded on top. Must have spent a lot of time in somebody's Game Boy. It's an awesome game. It deserves to spend a lot of time in your Game Boy if you have it. Music is some of the absolute best chiptunes you will find on a Game Boy. The story is incredible. I mean, it's a little slight departure from a lot of Zelda titles, but still, this is kind of early on the lifespan of Zelda. There's a lot of excellent problem solving in the dungeon stages. There's a lot of personality in every character you meet in the game, all the enemies. And it's one of those games, even after you've beaten it, you can keep going back because there's a lot of stuff you may have missed. Like with a lot of Zeldas, it's very non-linear. You can go around exploring, and you're very well rewarded for that. One of those games where if you haven't played it, it's probably the one Game Boy game I say everyone must check out. Link's Awakening. Okay, that about wraps it up for today. Hopefully I can get this up as soon as possible. I gotta do a little bit more work, and I've got this crazy weekend going on. If you haven't checked out my little first episode of my retro game guide, do check that out. That's where you'll find me replacing the battery in my copy of Final Fantasy Adventure. Something which, is you kind of have to do every, with the batteries in these games weren't really meant to last as long as some of them have. I mean, right there we're talking about a game that's 20 years old or more. You can't really expect the battery to last that long. Alright. There's going to be a lot more Game Boy related content for this month. Hope you stick around and enjoy me for them. Take care.